I didn't. Yehudis Kayla, Yehudis Bas Kayla.
Yehudis Kayla Bas Fega.
Yehudis Kayla Bas Fega. What did you say after that? I didn't hear.
A young mother who's not doing well.
Take of miyad mamish, immediate refuah shlema to jump out of her bed and come in and dance all over with Mashiach together right now. Okay. By side, we're on page 149. The Rebbe is explaining here, the previous Rebbe of Yosef Yitzchak is explaining to us the difference between Avram, Psik Taima Begavayu, the Gemara says. There's a cantillation. The trup indicates a pause, a break between Avram and Avram, although they're written together. And Moshe Rabbeinu, the Gemara says, Moshe loy posik Taima Begavayu. And the Rebbe wants to understand why there is this difference. So yesterday we learned all about Avram. What is Avram? So everyone will tell you. You learned the Torah and the Mefarshim. Avram lech lecha be'atzcha meladcha be'savicha. He had Kiata Yadaiti Yirei Likimata. All the big milas of Avram, and it's all true. Comes along Kabbalah and Chasidus says that it all begins because Avram is representative of Ava and Chesed Shelamayla. And because he's the embodiment of Ava and Chesed Shelamayla, everything else follows. Nevertheless, we find Avram says, V'anoichi ofar ve'efer. And the question is, if you're Ava, if you're the embodiment, Shalom, of Ava and Chesed, of above, if you are this great embodiment of such a holy energy, how can you say about yourself, I am dust, I'm just dust and ashes? You know, there's one thing to say I'm a nobody, and there's another thing to think that I'm a nobody. You know, to think that we're not so special. You know, I'm not so special. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me certain talents. I had certain parents. I lived in a certain community. I went to a certain yeshiva. I was in a certain environment. And therefore, I'm a shtickle mensch. And maybe I'm more than a shtickle mensch. Okay. Right? What does Moshe Rabbeinu say in Balaischa? It's not that Moshe didn't recognize who he was. If someone comes to you and says, Shalom, listen, you're a world expert pianist. You're unbelievable. Or you're a tremendous artist. You can do the nicest art. Come, our organization, our shul is having a chagiga, an event. Do us a favor. You'll help bring in some funds for the shul, and you say, nah, me, I'm a terrible artist. I don't know how to play the piano. Go to someone else. That's not humility. That's the epitome of ego, of gaiva. And you're a liar too. So besides being a liar, your gaiva is false humility, right? False gaiva. So, false humility, which is the epitome of gaiva. So Moshe Rabbeinu recognized who he was. We have to recognize the koyach and the talents Hashem gave us. Nevertheless, we know and we say to ourselves that it's the Eibishter who granted me this gift. So, but to go and say V'anoichi ofa ve'efer, and to make such an emphatic statement and put it into the Torah Kedosha, to the Holy Torah, is why do that? Why do that? Now, the Rebbe says here, and this, by the way, is from Tanya, from Geras HaKodesh, of the Balatanya, it's section 4 of Tanya. The Alter Rebbe says that the reason Avram did that was you shouldn't make a mistake. We shouldn't make a mistake and think that the Avram on earth is comparable to the Avram in heaven, in spiritual realms. There's no comparison. And Avram saying about himself, the way Avram is from God's perspective, it's chesed and ava in its pure sense, and there's no agenda whatsoever. But once it comes into this world, Avram, based on who he was, the chesed and ava is insignificantly lower than the chesed of ava shelamayla, and that's why he says v'anoichi ofa ve'efer. So it is in unison with the idea of bittul and humility. It's important for us to know and for him to make the statement that the chesed and ava that he walked around with, and the Medrash says that the Eibishter created chesed out of one of the days of creation, and then the Medrash says when Avram was born, he was the replacement of chesed lemata, and that's why Avram is the symbol of hachnos archim. So all of that would lead to think that Avram is the exact chesed and ava of heaven is found in Avram lamata. Says the Torah, no. Avram psik taime begavayu. There is a pause between the two Avrams. The first Avram lays is going on the chesed and ava of Lamaila, as Avram is chesed and ava Lamaila, and the second Avram is the Avram chesed and Avram as he is on earth. And the Torah says you have to have a break, a pause in between the two, because they're not similar. Now, conversely, page 149, we continue learning inside. Moshe Rabbeinu is different. However, Moshe, when it comes to Moshe Rabbeinu, there is no cantillation separating the two, meaning that the trop, the cantillation in the pasuk is not indicative of a pause, rather a continuation. So Hillel, meaning that we read Moshe Moshe without a break. You follow? Moshe ba'atzilus u'Moshe shebebriya yitzira asiya shavim. The Moshe that we talk about him in the world of emanation called Atzilus, and the Moshe as we talk about him, the world of creation, formation, and action, Shavin are similar. Moshe kibul Torah Sinai v'limda l'chol Yisrael. Moshe received the Torah from Sinai and taught all Yidden. V'hu hamamshich shefa hapnimiyus l'neshamas Yisrael. And it's Moshe Rabbeinu that draws the inner influence, the inner shefa, to the Jewish people, to the neshamas Yisrael. In other words, how is it that every single Yid has a neshama and a gavaldik neshama? It's because Moshe gives this Jew this specialty. He transmits it from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Jew. Therefore, Moshe loi posik taima. That's why there is no pause between Moshe and Moshe. In other words, let me explain. Moshe Rabbeinu it's not just a replica of Moshe in heaven. Moshe on earth is Moshe in heaven. That's what he's saying, basically. And how is that? Because Moshe Rabbeinu is the one, not Avram, Moshe Rabbeinu, who gives every single Yid a connection to his neshama. And without the Moshe Rabbeinu, the connection would be, the neshama would be lost, asleep, dormant, wake me up in 70 years like Chayni Amagel. You know what I'm saying? And Moshe Rabbeinu keeps on pumping the blood every moment, every day. Keep on pumping and pumping and pumping. And enough blood comes into the person wakes up, and the person is alert. Who does? Yes, Shmuel.
You see that in the name Moshe himself. He was given the name, it says in the Torah, Mayim Mishisiru. The Mayim is the higher elements, and he's gone down here into this world.
Right. Yes, thank you. V'lochein Moshe Maya v'hine ksiv v'zarati es beis Yisrael Zera Adam and Zera Beheima. I planted the household of Israel, a seed of a human seed, Zera Adam, v'Zera Beheima, and an animal seed. Two types of plantations. Shahefish beino Adam Beheima. What's the difference between a human and an animal? The Adam yesh le das. The basic difference is that a human has das, knowledge, understanding. Ubehema ein lo das, and a behema doesn't have das. It's instinctual. It works by its instincts, not das. V'cheinu be'inyan neshamas, so is also regarding souls, neshamas. The Zera Adam hein neshamas that silus. Zera Adam, Shmuel refers to the neshamas the way they are in Atzilus. Shein anikrois bonim lamok, we call them children to God. V'hayu shekmoi milas Adam, just like the virtue of man. Yesh le das v'hasoga v'hargosha, who has a comprehend das and understanding and feeling. Kach elu neshamas, so also these type of souls. Yesh lehem das godu belikus, they have great knowledge in godliness. They sense God, they understand God. Uperush, what does das mean in this case, in this context? Moshe, it doesn't mean only knowledge. I have knowledge of God. But the word das over here implies more than that. Elo, pchinas hargosha mamish. Hargosha, margish. Right? There's a law in Hilchas Tahara by a woman, if she feels something coming from her body, it's a question whether she has to, she's tamei, she has to count the days and all that. It's called Hargosha, right? Once a Chassid told me that the Rebbe wrote to him, he was a Russian Chassid, he got out of Russia, and the Rebbe wrote to him titles and accolades. And he came to the Rebbe in the early 70s or so, and he said, Rebbe, why are you writing these accolades? I'm a very simple Jew. I'm no rabbi, I'm no reverend, I'm no chassid, I'm just a regular Yid trying to serve Hashem. And he said to the Rebbe, listen to this expression, Ich fühl es nicht. It's in Yiddish, it means I don't feel it. Ich fühl es nicht. I do not feel it. And the Rebbe answered him with the following short and brief words, right to the point. Feeling is nit kein muz. You don't must feel. In other words, if I'm writing to you that that's who you are, just accept it. I mean, the Rebbe didn't have to spell that out, but feeling, we used to say in yeshiva, you know what feeling is? Moshe, you know what feeling is? Feeling is a boichvetig, a stomach ache. When you have a stomach ache, you feel one way or the other. So when guys in yeshiva would say, I don't feel I want to do this, I don't feel inspired, I don't feel Hashem, I don't feel Chasidus, I don't feel this, that. So the answer was, feeling is a stomach ache. Just do what you have to and get with the program. But nevertheless, in our context, when we're making the difference between an animal and a human being, feeling the issue, meaning that the issue is concretized within you, makes the difference between an animal and a human being. Or an animal will instinctually run away from fire. That's not an intellectual thing, because it's an instinctual thing. And the proof is a minute later it'll stumble over something or bite someone, which totally has no sense, because it doesn't feel it. It's not margish it. So that's what we look back into the Mimer. That's what he says here. He says, when we talk about these neshamos, called Zera Adam, that they have das and elokus, the Rebbe says, don't make the mistake and think that we're talking about knowledge in God. We're talking about hargosha, Boaz, lahargish, hargosha. Right? The Zera Beheima, continuing, what does it mean, the seed of the animal seed? Heina neshamos, this is a reference to those souls. She'ein lehem das kol kach belikus. They don't have such feeling of God within themselves. In other words, they're moved, they understand, but they're not margish. We spoke about this several years ago, the idea of the stale Judaism. What's the difference between vibrant, forget about Judaism, stale frumkeit, versus alert and vibrant frumkeit is that you are margish. It's not that I put on tefillin yesterday and I know I'm going to do it tomorrow and I do it today. That's very, very stale.
Yom Yuchas.
Yeah. What we're looking for is What we're looking for is vibrance, hargish, yes, Hillel.
I just would you say that we're talking here about like spiritual temperament or personality? You know, the degree to which a person is Zera Adam, or the degree to which they're Zera Beheima, kind of determines their spiritual sensitivity or vitality and what they have to work on. Yes,
and there are people that are more inclined and expressive of Zera Adam and others from Zera Beheima. By and large, you should know, most souls are from Zera Beheima, not Zera Adam. Zera Adam is Neshama Datzilis. Okay, so it's an upgrade. It's a very big upgrade. But however, Hillel, what you could say, based on what you said, is that there are different sensitivities and different applications. So when a person intunes themselves with more hargosha, it's more demonstrative of a Zera Adam activity. But I wouldn't conclude yet and say, oh, I know that this person's soul belongs to that category. That's a far, you know what I'm saying? So, and when we learn Chasidus and when we learn philosophy and Musa, all these type of ideas, and this, we have to be very careful, and this is a problem out there in the community where people are so quick to say, oh, he is this, she is this, he's not. You know, it doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying?
To type people and to limit them by their personality and so on. They're this kind of person or that kind of person. That's right. Okay, let's go further. That's why when I think the Frierdiker Rebbe says over in the name of his ancestors that the tradition is that the Alter Rebbe's neshama was a neshama chadosha. Only a tzaddik can say that. How can someone say about somebody has a new soul? I mean, let's get real. Come on. You know, we barely know about ourselves and our mind and our heart and our behavior, and we know about someone's soul. You have to be a tzaddik. You have to be someone on a totally different, plateau and level. And so I'm just saying, it's not, when we learn these things, it's food for thought. But to go and actually say, I know this and know that, that's a whole different level. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Okay? Right.
It does exist. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, but it's you know, it's a very seldom experience. That's all I can say, you know. And again, you know, whether it's a Litvak with his Rosh Hashivas or a Chassid with his Rebbe or Sfardisher with his Chacham, if you have that belief in that teacher and rabbi and tzaddik that he's at that level, kol hakavod. I'm not poo-pooing it, chas v'sholom. But I'm just saying it's yes, Boaz.
I was just gonna ask, but what I was kind of working up what Hillel was saying. But the reason we learn these things is so we kind of can get a grasp on what we need to work on, right? Not to label others, but for ourselves to kind of know what to work on within ourselves.
Right. Yes, exactly. But, you know, in other words, let's follow up on Hillel's. Let's say someone says, you know, you look at yourself and you say, I just don't take things at face value. I study them, I think about them, and I get emotional and I'm moved. So that means I have a hargosha. That means I come from Zera Adam. Not necessarily. That's not what we talk. We're talking about a hargosha. Hargosha is much deeper. In other words, your initial application and approach to life in general, in addition to Yiddishkeit, is the hargosha approach. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So can you and should you learn from that? Absolutely. So what you're saying, Boaz, is correct. Let's continue. And he says, V'hainu, neshamas the bria yitzira siya shehen kemat kol ha-neshamas shebedisenu. They're like pretty much all, that's what I was saying before, Shmuel, most of the neshamas in our generation. Elisha neshamas da Atzilus, b'nei aliyah. The souls of Atzilus are called men, children of elevation.
There are very few out there. Even in the early generations, Hillel. Yes.
Yeah, that's a line from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in the Gemara, I think in Sukkah. Right?
Yeah, right.
So is that the implication? Is that kind of an indirect touch of that Gemara?
Yes, yes, yes.
Episode, yeah,
episode, yes. And he's saying, now he says, these people that have come from Zera Beheima, surely not only don't they have hergish, they don't have seichel, real deep comprehension of godliness. And although they use their mind, yes, Shmuel.
They do. It's a double negative. They do have seichel. They do have seichel.
Wait, give me a second. Ella Hagam. Yes, he's following up. El Hagam, although she yesh lem seichel vasog shemasiga maskil gdul's bayri is borich mi pisvarim pisoifrim, although they comprehend greatness of Hashem from Sforim and scribes, and they come to a great understanding how God creates and sustains the worlds, how God is infinitum. That's a rhetorical. V'hagam comes the retort. Nevertheless, since it's not mortgage, it's not felt in their soul, b'bchinas das sholim, with complete das, nikra b'shem zera beheima. So Shmuel, is it correct? You see?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we call them, zera beheima. So again, don't make the mistake thinking, Chavra, that the souls from zera beheimas are idiots. They're not idiots. They can meditate.
They are us.
No, I'm talking about we're not idiots. We're intelligent and we learn and we think, right? But nevertheless, we are called. Most of us are called. We come from Zera Beheima. Why? Because our application towards all of this is from bottom up, not from top bottom. You hear the difference? Bottom up means basically I am who I am, but I want to be better. Great. But you begin with I am who I am, bottom up. Zera Adam begins from top bottom. I am God, not God, but godliness. I am holiness. And from holiness, it filters down into the human experience. It's two different ways. We call this in Chasidus Chevra, Memata Lamaila, from below to above, or Milmaila Lamata. Right? I give this example. I think it's a very good example. You look at the table, the desk you're sitting at right now. You can say like this. This is one way of thinking. I'm at a desk now. I'm at a table. It's providing a place where I can put my sefer. I can put down my water. I can lean my hands. Right? Now, why was it created? And guess what? And who created it? Oh, it must be Hashem. And it must be a higher purpose. That observation means from the yesh to the ayin. From the existence to something, the yesh, I begin with existence, and from there I go towards ayin. But what's natural to me is existence. The table is here. You could bring someone else into the room and they'll say, table? What table? I don't see a table. Who says the table's here? Prove that the table's here. So what do I see? Oh, I see Hashem. I see the ayin. Oh, if there's an ayin here, what does God want? He wants a table. Well, how am I going to get a table from the ayin? And you start struggling. You start thinking, what's the perspective of this person? That what we accept as existence and a given, it's just the opposite by him. By him, it's no existence and it's not a given. In fact, you have to prove that it exists. Or another example, when the Torah was given, until the Torah was given, was everything permissible or forbidden? Ask a Jew who didn't learn Chasidus. Ask a Jew who didn't learn Chasidus. Ask him, what, until 2448, where you're allowed to eat anything you want and do whatever you want, the answer he will give you is yes. Because only when the Torah was given did it become a no. This is kosher and this is not. You ask someone to learn Tanya, Shari Yichud Emunah, they'll tell you right away. Before the world began, before the Torah was given, there was no world. The world just began being important when the Torah was given. It's two different perspectives. And if so, and if there's no world, I can't eat it anyway. I can't do whatever I want. I don't exist. So that's the question. That's the issue. The difference between...
What do you say about Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach?
No, yes, on a human level, yes, on a human level, but I'm talking about as a Jew. We're talking to the Jew who's, can I eat something that I don't know if it's kosher or not? So you have two ways of looking at it. Or you could say, the Gemara says in Baba Basra, it's called the Cheskes Morakama, regarding property and acquisition. If you have a doubt, you go back to the original Chazaka. Who was in the property beforehand? Right? So if you apply that idea of Cheskes Morakama from the Gemara, apply it to creation. And when you have a doubt whether you can eat something or not. I don't know if I can eat it or not. I don't know if it's kosher or not. So let's go back to the original way it was pre-kosher, right? What do I mean pre-kosher? Before the entire Torah was given. And I will decide based on Cheskas Morakama, just like the Gemara says, that we decide the ownership of the property based on who was there before the doubt rose. So too, I will go back to the original situation before everything became not kosher or kosher, i.e. in 2448. And the answer is everything was permissible. Like you said, humanity. A Jew doesn't answer with humanity. A Jew is beyond humanity. In other words, until the Jew was created, nothing existed. In concept, Moshe, in concept. This needs a lot more conversation, and it's not for now. And we'll get back to it. I'm glad you brought it up because it's discussed at length and it's very important. But let's go back. So he says, so although these people have an understanding and of godliness, nevertheless, it's not called Das Shalem, and it's called Zera Beheima. An animal also has koiches ruchniim, spiritual kochos, the riyah of seeing, ushmiya, and hearing, the hiroya v'sheimas, and guess what, ladies? It sees everything, and it hears everything. But it doesn't comprehend what it sees and hears. That's why sometimes we call ourselves or others, whatever, you're a beheima. What do you mean you're a beheima? Even if the person's not indulging. It's like you don't get it. You see it, you hear it, and you don't understand. You don't understand what you're seeing and hearing, and you don't do good with it. You're acting like a behemoth. That's what he says. V'hainu, mipnei she'ein lo das, because it's missing das. Kol kach, it doesn't have so much das. V'kach nishomes elu hem prinas hadas belikus. So too, these types of neshamos don't have strong das and godliness. Hadas prinas hargosha. He repeats, das is hargosha, a deep feeling. It is the way it makes what you understand and comprehend niksheres, bound, tied, v'nikbas, and set, like you set a stone, right, in the breastplate. Ki'ilu margish, and it's so understood by you as though you actually feel it. Kidas v'iskashlus v'ischabrus. Das means connected, binding, and connectedness. From my flesh, I perceive godliness. It doesn't say roeh, it says echze. Echze means you actually see it. Ki'ilu roeh, as though you see it.
And although it is impossible for the human eye to see godliness, nevertheless, this would be compared to someone who knows and feels his soul, that's within him, and enlivens him. Although regarding the soul, it's impossible to see the essence of the soul, what it is and how it is. Nevertheless, you feel your soul. When you see your body functioning and moving, you say, my soul is kicking, my soul is alive and well. Because, boys, this body of mine acting, where did this corpse that when you were asleep, the Gemara says in Brachas, it's the 60th death. And God forbid, when someone dies, it's dead completely. And all of a sudden, this body is, all over the place. Oh, it's a raya. It's proof that what? It's proof that there is chayas here. Oh, he says, look what he says. When the soul leaves the body, the body remains like an inanimate stone, rock. And even when the person is alive, next page, you can't compare the vitality of the soul at all times. For example, he says everything I said before. When a person is sleeping, the soul ascends from the body. The Gemara says there's only a remnant of vitality that's left to keep you going at night. All the important powers are not revealed. Like when you're awake. For example, take the mind, seeing and hearing. Right? Are you going to tell me you can compare the mind ability during sleep to the way it is during the day? Absolutely not. And so too for seeing, and so too for hearing. That's why during a night, a dream, two things that are opposite each other can be combined. At a night during the sleep, when you have the dream, it seems very proper that you could fit an elephant through a pinhole. Because at night you can't. The light of intellect is not prominent. To be able to discern, to say to yourself, "Hey, am I out of my mind?" You can't put an elephant through the hole of a pin. It don't work. It's two opposites. But nevertheless, you have such a dream. Make it when you get up in the morning from your sleep. But then you wonder about yourself. How was it that I had a dream with opposites that were possible? That were able to come together in my dream. This is because when you get up from your sleep, it's because in the morning when you get up, the revelation of the light and the energy of your soul is returned in full force through your kochos. Using this as a mashal, now we're going to the moral, the nimshal. So too when it comes to das, having knowledge in God, that we say that the soul of Atzilus has this perception of God. My soul perceives God, referring to the neshama, the way of Atzilus. This is a rhetorical question. Although we say no thought can grasp him. This means the essence of God you can't grasp. But his existence is understood and felt. The fact that we see that all the worlds are like a large body, and they are alive and they exist. This vitality, whom is from the infinite God, that impacts them in every moment and every minute. And everyone can comprehend this. But when this thought becomes part of your soul, i.e., it's mikushar, it's bound to your soul. Sheyeh nikshor v'nirgesh mimenu mamish, that your soul, your body, your soul as it's in the body, is impacted, where you become totally totally moved and gelled and glued to the thought. Ki'ilu roye, like you see. Zeu hanikras b'chinas das. This is what we refer to in this context of das. And that's why the rabbis say, Ezeu chocham haroyes hanoilid. Who is wise? Who sees the future. What does it mean he sees the future? It's not that he's a good prophet sayer or a good investor and has an understanding. No. It's as though he sees with his actual eye. Minds up. He sees. You see how he interprets the word noilad here, Hillel? Ezel chochem, right? Moshe from Pirkei Avos says, Ezel chochem, harayos hanoilad. Who is wise and sees the future. The Chazal, yeah?
I think he's talking about here the source, the noilad, where it comes from, not the future.
Right. I know. I'm just saying that the Pirush HaPosh is the noilad, right? But
here's is the noilad, is the source. You see the ayin, where everything comes from.
That's a Chasidus taich, and that's what he's saying here. But that's not the taich. That's the taich of Pirkei Avos.
No, the Pirkei Avos is the future.
Thank you. Okay, so I was explaining that although the Pirush HaPosha, the simple text in Pirkei Avos is the future. Who is wise? Who can see the future? Comes along Chasidus and says, "Ezel chocham ha'royes hanoiled." Who is wise? The one who sees the ayin, the source. Like I was just saying that. Fine, which he says here is associated with das. The point he's making here is that this is the association between das, what we're talking about here, and Ezel Chochem Haroyes Hanoilad. I want to make that. Yes, Moshe.
Sir, can you just go over that again? What does it mean? You can see the source. What does that mean?
The source meaning how it was created, where it's coming from, why it was created. Source means the reason for its being here. What is its purpose, and where does it come from? That would be the meaning of the word source in this context, right? It's not just a technical thing, I could point to the fact that it comes from this and this level. No, we mean that who is wise? Someone who understands that everything has a purpose, a meaning, and comes from the ayin. It comes from God, and so it's not just that and that is what it's about. It's not that, like I told you before. Let's go back to what I said before. It's not that existence is existence, and I probe from existence. I work backwards. It's a lot deeper. That existence only begins to be existence because there is a source. Do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, why is it important, and why is it important to deal with Gashmias, and how is there Gashmias? It's because there is Hashem in everything, and Hashem is us. So that's lahargish. Lahargish means, and it's not easy. This is an avodah to train ourselves. It's so easy to say it, but when you're confronted with a problem, God forbid, whatever, and especially a serious problem, like Laser was saying before about someone's not well. That's when your faith is up for grabs. Are you really a maimin? Are you really? That's the regesh. The regesh is reality. reality. So the mind is not reality. The mind is a creation. But the regish, and again, we're not talking here about shalom, regish, feeling love, compassion. We're talking about the issue at hand being the reality. That's what he means by hargosha. Is this your reality? And what is the this that is your reality that we are to look at? That the creator, the ayin, we call the creator, the ayin is everything, is the source of everything. It begins there and it ends there. Again, the story that a guy told me, 1957, he's waiting outside the Rebbe's door. There's a Hungarian Jew who goes into the Rebbe, and the Hungarian Jew wishes, the Rebbe gives him a blessing for whatever it is, and he says to the Rebbe in Yiddish, God should also help. That, Rebbe, whatever you wishing me, God should help, that it should be so. And the Rebbe picks up his head and he says to him, Gott helft nit, God doesn't just help. God is aus, God is everything. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between saying, God help me, meaning the me is there first, and God help me. Or, there's no me except for God. God tut aus. And this is what the person told me. He heard the Rebbe say, and the guy meant well, but the Rebbe was giving him a message. As a Rebbe, the tzaddik. So Hashem should we in our thinking and avodas Hashem, we learn these things, we think about these things, and hopefully a little bit rubs off. Zaygas unto everyone. Take care. Take care. Bye bye.